So I just got done binge reading a book that, as soon as I heard about it from a fellow cozy enjoyer, I just had to get my hands on it immediately. This is Legends and Lattes. It's pretty evident from the channel description that I love cozy mysteries, and I just love a cozy atmosphere in general. I do not think, though, that I've mentioned that I played Dungeons and Dragons. I've played a summer-long campaign in person, and I'm currently in a virtual campaign that's been going for right about 3 years now, which is crazy. But anyway, why am I telling you this? Because this is essentially a Dungeons and Dragons cozy. It's not a whodunit or a mystery like I had initially assumed that it would be, but the other necessary elements are all there. And I mean, the cover is just unmistakably that sort of Berkeley prime crime template and style. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, anyway, just look at other like illustrated cozies. You'll see what I mean. So I did do a little Googling around to see what else is out there that could be classed as cozy fantasy, which is what this book is getting tagged as a lot. But I didn't see anything else with this distinct cover style, or the same overt ties to D&D, for what that's worth. Side note, I'm really excited that I got to use this flower crown. I probably splurged on it in H&M in like 2014. But anyway, so a quick note, you will recognize a lot in the language and the world building if you are familiar with D&D, but you do not need to know any of this prior to enjoy the book, and you definitely don't need to understand any of the game mechanics, which can get quite complex. This is not exactly PG rated due to some pretty colorful language, but there's nothing explicit in other ways. Like, there's basically just swearing. But, yeah. So, with that out of the way, our premise here is that the protagonist, Viv, is an orc who is tired of the only mode of existence that she's ever known. Eking out a living as a hired fighter and adventurer, always watching her back, living with basically no possessions but her sword black blood and her bedroll, and solving problems either through violence or the implication thereof. There's like a little cadre she's been working with as a team for several years, but she wants out and she gets out. She's carefully prepared a plan to open a cafe in the town of Thune, serving an exotic beverage she was introduced to in the gnomish city of Azimuth. Coffee. So she attains this derelict building, and with some elbow grease and the assembly of a few local key players, she manages to get this venture, Legends and Lattes, off the ground and running in a town where no one has ever heard of coffee. I think Baldree did an excellent job with the world building here. This felt very in line with what I've imagined in the campaigns that I've played, but just like fully realized, brought to life, you know? The setting was not modern, but let's see, the technology in the book, through a combination of like steam power and some pretty structured like rules-bound magic, it made everything feel very plausible and natural, I guess, if that makes sense. But I just really felt like, yes, this is what a coffee house would be like in Dungeons and Dragons. Also, the giant cat was an awesome touch. You'll see what I mean when you get there. But as you may have anticipated, Viv develops fast friendships, and perhaps something more. Romance readers, pay attention. In her newfound life, and with their help, the shop begins to really thrive. She's still able to count on some of her old friends as well, but then there is redacted conflict, and Viv has to learn to rely on others while reckoning with her old ways and trying to handle things as the person that she's trying to become. So I saw some complaints on Goodreads that most characters basically felt like NPCs to them, like they weren't fully fleshed out. I just disagree. A few are fleshed out more than others, but frankly, in a book this short, I just kind of think that's to be expected. And I'm not really worried about it because it's confirmed to be a series now. I'm pretty sure about that. So, you know, like, we'll probably find out more about some of the other characters later on. If anything, I will say I appreciate the main character, Viv. Her thought processes made a lot more sense to me than a lot of protagonists do in these cozy type stories, which is really strange given that she's like a battle-hardened orc in a made-up universe, and I'm just here. Now, I also saw a complaint that the drinks and baked goods could have been less conventional and more, fantastical. And I actually agree with that one. That was a good point. I did think it was a bit odd that, like, there's a Fey restaurant they go to in the book, and it's briefly mentioned that Fey cuisine is known for, like, its artful presentation and its delicate flavoring. But we don't ever really find out what that food is. So that really struck me as a missed opportunity. Hopefully that's remedied in book 2. Another missed opportunity. The food in the cafe is all very real food, but there are no recipes in the back. I just think, given the crossover readership that you're getting here, that just should have been, like, required. It melted my brain when I saw that for the first time in Arsenic and Adobo, and finding out that there were so many more of those out there was just euphoric. I was so excited about that. And again, since this is hitting, like, from what I can tell, a very young demographic who's probably not going to be familiar with the concept of that, because the readership for conventional cozies is on the older side. I really wish that was there, because it'd be the first time seeing it for so many people. And since it's already drawn so much inspiration from this genre, like, it just felt like that should have been given. But again, book 2, even, it's not too late to put it in a later edition of the first book. We've already, like, re-released it with a short story. That was in the edition that I borrowed from the library. I also really enjoyed that. So yeah, you've changed it once. You stick recipes in it. Even, I was pondering, how could you take this D&D cozy combo, like, kind of to the next level by tacking in some kind of playable content related to the book? Maybe like a character sheet for Viv, maybe a map of Thune, or like scenery of the cafe with a link so you could import it to Roll20 or something. Or you could always kind of copy the tips template that you see in a lot of cozies. They'll be like, sewing tips, baking tips, skincare tips, I think I've even seen before. But you could do tips, like, for a dungeon master trying to run a, like, cozy themed D&D session. It's right there. I can kind of see why they haven't done that, especially given the recent scare with Hasbro threatening to yank the Open Games license, which I have some thoughts on. But since that seems to be fixed, at least for now, like, I'm sure Mr. Baldree's already thought of this and, like, better ideas too, but I'm putting it out there for free anyway. Like, we want to see this so bad. So many people reading it are already, like, into D&D, so it'd be perfect. It'd really be perfect. And it was, all in all, I thought this was a really heartwarming and engrossing story about the power of friendship, community, fresh starts, and caffeine. I binge read it within about 28 hours. It made me feel very happy and warm and cozy. And it has piqued my interest in exploring the, I guess, maybe upcoming cozy fantasy genre. No, I'm not sure any of it is going to be a combination that felt this tailored, like, to me personally. But I'll deal with it. I think I already said I did borrow it from the library, but I've got a hunch that at some point I'm gonna end up ordering this book and all the ones to come in some deluxe edition and, like, clearing a very prominent space on the bookshelf for them. Anyways, you should read this if you like D&D, or if you like cozy mysteries, or if you like cozy romances, and especially if you love 2 or more of those. I hope that if you're here for one, or if you're unfamiliar with any of those things, that maybe this is going to be a gateway to a lot of cool new stuff for you. So anyways, happy reading. stay cozy, and bye.